Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So it's my friends over at Joann.com. Week number 3, the halfway spot of your stitch along together. This is the Bernat Blanket stitch along with the festive Afghan. We're moving on to this section right here. So let's get started on week number 3. So week number 3 has something really quite unique to it, and what we are going to be doing is adding in a lot of extra stitches. This type of stitch has a lot of compression to it, and so we are going to be expanding from our 80 stitches that we've been having to 103. And I know what you're thinking, wow, that's a huge thing. This stitch has a lot of compression. So we're going to be doing our setup row, and if you look in the diagram, which I'll show you next, you'll see that we are going to be increasing our stitches. You'll also notice that we are going to be carrying our yarn, so you'll notice how the lines go straight up. Now if you have to trim your yarn every time you're finishing one of these, you're gonna end up with a lot of tails. So what the designer is recommending is that we carry the yarn that is not in use over top of the stitch. So when the white is being crocheted in, the orange there is just being carried underneath the stitches so that you can see it. So if you look at, see right here, that's the yarn being carried underneath. So you want to make sure it's nice and taut, not too loose, but not too tight either, so that it changes its flexibility. So we're going to be doing that today. So let's take a look at the diagram. So the diagram here kind of shows us what we're going to be doing, and you're going to notice is that we have a repeat that we are going to do. So it's setup rows number 1 and 2, and you see that this is an increase row. So in row number 1 we're going to be increasing our stitches a certain amount of time. So you see how that there's 2 single crochets here in a row and one single or one chain here. That should technically have a space, but because we're gonna increase our stitches, that's what's gonna happen, and you can see that happens right in the very beginning as well. So we're gonna be diving hard into that today too. We have 2 rows to start with this one here, so 1 and 2, and we will be using the white, the vintage white, and this will create a border on the other side of this when we get up over here. So then we're going to make sure that we have this pattern here. We're working in the back loop only to create the ridge look, and then what we're going to do is that we're going to do an increase row, and this is going to massively expand the amount of stitches so that this particular stitch work can work together. This type of stitch work has the tendency to compress, so the designer has figured out all the extra stitch work to put in here to keep it in balance up through the sides. So without further ado, let's start on row number 1, and let's pick up our project and let's begin. So let's begin row number 1, and we're gonna be working in the back loop only for this one. So chain up 1, and we still want to bury in our 2 yarn strands that we have, and we want to come in the first one. It's a single crochet and just slipping down the back loop. So if you're looking at the stitches, you will see 2 strands. The first strand is the front loop, the second is the back loop. And so what I want to do is just scoop up underneath these stragglers and then get the back loop only. It's kind of harder to see on camera than it is in person. The color has a lot to do with that as well. And of course I pulled the stitches nice and tight from when I did this last time. So okay, so let's, okay, so now we're in the back loop. So just pulling through and through. So continuing all the way down, just take this stragglers about 2 inches across. So back loop it. The first one's always kind of a little tough, and then just go back loop all the way down, and this will create a nice new section for your particular Afghan. So back loop, double or single crochet all the way down. Okay, now that we're on the other side, go right into the last stitch and turn your work, and we'll turn now, and I'll just start number 2, and this is going to be framing this particular section. Okay, row number 2, we're just gonna chain up 1 and then just do 1 single crochet in each of the stitches going all the way across. When you get all the way across, I don't want you to fasten off at all. Just keep this white going, and then we're gonna do the setup rows in order to do the fun work that you see within this section. So just please put in 1 single crochet in each all the way to the end. So we're all the way to the other side, and now we're just gonna turn over. You should be looking at the front side, so your bobbles should be popping up. And now let's go back to the diagram, because now we're gonna do an increase row that is gonna allow the other part of this to be able to compress properly within this Afghan. So let's go to the diagram now. So if you look really carefully here, you will notice here that technically it should be like in like a straight line here, but it's not. So when we go to chain up 2, that counts as your first single crochet and a chain 1 space, and single crochet in the next. Chain 1 and then single crochet here. So what I want to show you here is that there's gonna be 3 sets. So 1, 2, and 3 where the single crochets are directly beside each other without a gapping space in between. Then after those 3 sets we chain up 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, and then another 3 sets in a row, and we're gonna repeat that all the way across, and this is what's gonna increase us as we go. Okay, so now let's work this out and let's go slowly together. We're going to chain 2, and that counts as your first single crochet and your chain 1, and you're gonna come immediately to the next stitch here and single crochet, and then chain 1, and now the next sets of 3 are all gonna be the same. So you're just gonna skip the 1 stitch and go to the second over and single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet directly next to it. Then chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, and then single crochet in the next one after that. So this is the second set of the 3. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, and then single crochet in the next. So that was your 3 sets all together. So you have 1, 2, and 3. I know it's hard to see on camera, but it's there. So now what you got your 3 sets, chain up 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, and this is part of your repeat pattern. So let's go through a repeat one more time. So you're gonna chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, and go immediately to the next one. Okay, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, single crochet in the next. Okay, that was the second set of 3. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, and single crochet in the next, and this is the end of the repeat. So chain 1 and then skip 1 and single crochet in the next. So you're just gonna keep repeating that all the way across, and then essentially it's just 1 single crochet, skip 1, and then they're just sets in pairs of like 3 if you look at it from the diagram point of view. Please do that all the way. Just look at the diagram, go slowly, and then make sure you have your counts right at the end. So we're coming all the way to the end of the section on this side here, and I'm just gonna start the repeat. So I've got single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, and chain 1, single crochet in the next. So at the very final 2 here, you'll notice in the diagram is that you're gonna chain 1, skip 1, and the last 2 stitches are the same. So single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. So you're gonna feel like it's wrong in every level, but it's not. But what I want to do before we continue on with this is that just back out 1, and I want you to get your orange ready, and we're gonna begin to do that, and then we're gonna be alternating. And this is a really unique technique I'm about to show you, and it's something that's really inspired me for another project. So let's get our leaf orange ready. I'm just gonna create a slip knot, and I'm gonna put it on. Do not get rid of the white. You're gonna keep this white on because this is a technique I've never seen done before. So just pull through. Let's just turn our project now, and then let's go back to the diagram and let's review. Now we're on setup row number 2, as you can see here, and so we're going to be coming up with our orange and then filling in these spaces. So this is going to stabilize it then for the rest, and you'll notice that the project will start to condense and it will match the side of the project that you'll see. So what we want to do is that we want to just alternate between the orange and the white, and we do not fasten off at the end of each of these rows. We keep it and we drag it across, and I'm gonna show you how to hide the color as well in a previous row that we're gonna do. Let's go back to the main photograph because it's something I want to show you because it's really quite easy when you see it. So when you look at the diagram from this point of view, do you see the orange? There is a number of orange rows. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once you have your 7 done, just like you see here, then that's when I'm gonna pick you back up. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the next one, and then I'm gonna show you how to hide the colors, and I want you to keep on going until you see 7 of these. It also gives you a measurement of, I believe, 9 inches, so that you want to carry it over so that you're gonna keep it going as we're working this way. So it'll be 9 inches from this particular point. So from the first row. So let's continue along, and I'm just gonna concentrate what's here in the diagram. So I want to get my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these rows of the orange in, and then I'll pick you back up at the end of that. So I'm gonna show you something really neat here. So let's begin. We're gonna always chain 2, and I'm not gonna worry about the stragglers yet. So just chain 2, and then we'll start. So you skip the first single crochet and you go right into the chain 1 space that is created underneath. Grab the straggler and then this white that is going right to the yarn ball, so you don't want to cut that at all, and you just want to scoop up underneath into the single crochet space and single crochet right around all of that, and then chain 1 and then come to the next chain 1 space and see I'm gonna scoop up around it all. Now you're just gonna do that all the way across, so chain 1 and single crochet. Now it can really look sloppy when you see this being dragged, and I'm gonna show you how to hide this even better so that it's barely even noticeable in your project. So you're just chaining 1 and then just jumping to each of the chain 1 spaces, and as soon as that the orange is dragged far enough you can hide it. Now you're kind of worried that how it's gonna look now. Don't worry about it. We're gonna show you how to do that. So just continue along and chain 1, single crochet into each of the spaces, and I'll see you at the end of this row. Don't forget to keep dragging that white all the way with you, so just rest it on top. If it's hanging out the back or being really sloppy, just tug it a little bit, but don't over tug it so that it changes the flexibility of your afghan. Okay, so just do that all the way across and I'll see you at the end of this row. So I'm coming all the way across and I'm still dragging my white across as I go. I've never done that before. I think it's kind of cool. I've done another sample since I've learned how to do this with this sample, and it looks amazing even with doing different yarns. So chain 1 and then you come into the last chain 1 space and that's where you're gonna end. So come in, but before you pull through the orange, let it drop and then just grab the white that is coming from the ball. It's easier if the balls are in different locations, so I have the white one this way and then the orange one is that way so that the yarn strands don't tangle. So I'm just gonna pull through. So I'm gonna turn my project now and then I'm gonna show you how to hide in this carrying yarn that we've been hiding in or been putting in there. So let's turn our work and let's begin that. Okay, so now I want to carry my orange across the top and I want to work with the white. So get the white up and ready, and I want you to chain 2, 1 and 2, so that always be the same. And our first stitch is in this chain 1 space that you see. But do you see how this strand here is just kind of hanging out on its own? You see it once in a while? That's what I want you to bury in. So it's a really great technique that I'm about to show you. So I want you to scoop up underneath the orange. Okay, so just capture it on, scoop up underneath that carrying yarn and go right through the project. And then pull through and then single crochet as normal. And what that's doing is it's holding that carrying yarn, but it's also picking up that other yarn and putting it underneath so it's really well hidden. So chain 1, skip to the next one. So do you see the carrying yarn? Just scoop up underneath through it, through the project, and just see, it's picking it right up. So chain 1, so pick a scoop and pick up the carrying yarn and then make sure the orange is on top. If at any time you turn around and you realize that you've left this one behind, you will have to backtrack to pick it back up. So keep going into that chain 1 spaces with this yarn, and what this is doing is this is actually row number 1 of the repeat pattern. So sometimes the straggler yarn can be down here, so just pick it up and going in and it will pull it up into the stitch, and then it's really well hidden. So do that all the way across and I'll see you there, and we'll turn one more time. We'll try restart with the orange because now the orange is being dragged, and when you look at behind you will see the carrying yarn here, and I will show you how to hide that. It's the same thing, but I will just make sure that you understand that one more time. So get to the end and then we'll turn and then we'll change over our yarn colors, but do not fasten off this course. So if you remember, this is when we started the orange and I said not to worry about it until now. So what I want you to do is that we're gonna just chain up 1, and as I scoop up that carrying yarn I want to scoop up that orange one as well at the same time and keep that orange lying on the top. So just scoop it all up into the same one and it will suck all in together. So you see the orange is being carried, so is the white and that. So just going in and just capturing it and it pulls it up underneath. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so we're gonna come all the way to the end, chain 1, and you're gonna come into the final chain 1 space. So as you finish that one you're gonna drop it and then bring up your orange and pull through and then turn our work, and I'm just gonna get you started on this row and then I'm gonna leave the rest of this section for you and then I'll be back at the end. So remember what I said, you have to go 9 inches or just look and do 7 of these rows here of the orange. So this is row number 2 of the orange that you'll see. So now you're just gonna chain up 2 as always. So just like if it was white, and then I want you to just scoop this white one, and the carrying yarn is right there. Do you see it? Just scoop up underneath that to capture it, to pull it upward, and then single crochet. So chain up 1 and just pull this white one a little bit tighter and then move on. So if you see I'm just using my finger and pushing, you can actually see the carrying yarn. Sometimes the yarn can be directly in front, and some like here it's in front, so I just have to look for it and make sure I capture it. If you don't capture it, you will notice it later. I can guarantee you that. So capture it and be done with it. So just going across. So where is it now? So if I pull this one up, I know this one is. See how I pull this one up and I can see that it's moving here? That is the carrying yarn. And I'm just going to single crochet, and usually once I start pulling that one, it'll be very obvious where the next one will be when you start pulling on things like that. So what you want to do is you just want to continue up. So I'm gonna pull because I'm not sure, and you see how it's moving the others? That's the same one. So if it's attached to a stitch, it won't pull like that. So that's a really good indication. So make sure you're taking your white with you as you're going, and then you'll just switch back at the other side. So what I want you to do is go back and forth, and you will just have all these rows line up to you, and I want 7 of these orange done, and then we're gonna meet back here, and then we'll continue on to the end of the clues. And you will notice that this here will start compacting in, so your edging will line up. Once it gets to a certain level, it'll start compacting. So let's see at the end of this clue, and we'll finish up the final rows together. So once you get to your 9 inches, that's it. So you're done. So I have that done. I'm going to release the leaf orange now, and we are going to go once across then just with the regular vintage white. So that's our next goal. So this is now getting beyond the repeat pattern and etc. So I'm just going to leave this hanging for now. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to drag it underneath the stitches like I had been before. So we're gonna turn our work and begin the next row, and this is part of the repeat pattern. So let's move along to the next row, as we're gonna start decreasing in order to bring the stitches back to where we had started when we were right here. So I had the designer step in and help me. I'm a professional crocheter and educator, but some things I get confused on, and the pattern is not wrong, the diagram is not wrong. It's just for myself. I was just really confused by the number of repeats that was going on. So I was confused by trying to get 103 stitches back to 80 stitches as a suggestion, and that's because I was misreading the pattern and the diagram. We're gonna start off chain 1, and they're gonna single crochet in the first chain 1 space. Now the bracket here, you're going to repeat that a total of 7 times. But when you're in the bracket and you see the written words, you will see that there's 2 single crochets in a row, and then it will give you this instruction. So single crochet in the next single, skip the next chain 1 space, and single crochet in the next single crochet and chain 1 space. It will tell you to repeat that a total of 3 times. So you see 1, 2, and 3. Once you have those 3 done, the main bracket here is done. So this is the asterisk that's telling you to revert back to. So when you start the next bracket, you're just gonna start off just like you said, like you see the designer has indicated, just to show me how this is working, and then eventually you'll come to the very end of the project. So what I want you to do is that we're gonna take our time in getting this done, and you will notice that every time we're doing these chaining like these 3 sets here, you're removing 1 extra stitch. So this chain 1 here, here, and here get removed. So each time you do the repeat, so 7 like you see here will take you to 3, so that will give you 21 stitches that it will take out, and then because you're skipping the first one and the last one, that removes you to 23, which gives you back to 80. Hopefully that makes sense, and let's do this. I'm gonna be working slowly as we work our way across on this. It's an important row. So let's begin the decrease row. I'm gonna take my time in this one, either because I need to take time for myself anyway to comprehend this as well. So there's nothing wrong here with the pattern. It's just a matter of just doing what it needs to do. So the straggler we're gonna keep down on top of the line so that we can get that stuck underneath. I would also continue, see how these were the carryovers, I would continue to get those stuck into position as well. So let's start off, and we're going to chain up 1, and we're gonna skip the first single crochet that is here, and just grab your materials here and also the carrying strand, and you are going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So, or sorry, let's just say 1. So just, and it's a chain 1 space. So you're gonna single crochet there. So now this is the beginning of a repeat. So here we go. The first two are gonna be one into the single crochet that's existing. So the next one here is single crochet in the chain one space. So this is now the brackets is right from here, the single crochet and the chain one space. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start one of the three of the repeats. So the next single crochet here is that it's gonna be a single crochet, and the next chain one space I'm going to skip. The next single crochet is a single crochet, and the next chain one space is also a single crochet, and that's one of three for the repeat. So let's go again. So we have to do that 2 more times. So let's begin. The next single crochet is a single crochet. The next chain one space we're gonna skip. The next single crochet is a single crochet, and the next chain one space is a single crochet. And now that was the second of 3 repeats. Here we go again. So the next single crochet is a single crochet. The next chain one space we're gonna skip. The next single crochet is a single crochet, and the next chain one space is a single crochet. So this here from the one section, okay, right from here to here is 1 bracket. So let's do 1 more bracket together, and then I'll rely on you to do the remaining. So let's go look at the brackets. So we're going to start up the next 2. So it's gonna be the single crochet, and the chain one space is a single crochet like that. The next one here is now we're going to start the repeat pattern. So and it's the 3 repeats. So it's going to be the next single crochet, and we're gonna skip the next chain one space, and the next single crochet, and the next chain one space. So that was 1 of 3. So let's do the second of 3. So it's gonna be the single crochet, skip the chain one space, and go to the next single crochet, and then go to the chain one space. So that was number 2 of the repeat. Okay, so let's do the third one. So it's the next single crochet, skip the next one, single crochet into the next, and into the next chain one space. And now you're just gonna repeat the brackets all over again. So this is here, I want you to just take your time making sure that you're looking across. Freeze frame that other sheet that I showed you if you need to, and it will help you greatly as you work your way across. So hopefully you took your time. I want you to double check to make sure that you have 80 stitches on here. If you are off like 1 or 2, I would try to like put 2 together or etc. If it's that bothersome for you, just restart and try again. So just make sure you get yourself to 80, because it does matter for your next set of clues. So we're going to do 1 more row going all the way across, and then we are going to be finishing off clue number 3 for today. So let's turn our work and begin. So I'm coming up to the end of clue number 3. In the last stitch we want to make sure that we're gonna put in our deep C, get ready for clue number 4 as we begin then, and that's all good to go. So let's get in there and just put your deep C on, and take care of any loose ends that you will have at the end of this clue. Therefore you'll be ready for a fresh start. So now your deep C is on, and I will see you next time as we're continuing our crochet along together with you. So let's continue, and we'll see you again real soon. So that's it for now. Week number 3 is actually really easy once you get the idea and once you get it started. So I really like this stitch. It really is quite fabulous. I've used it more often than I can imagine, and I think that you'll enjoy learning this stitch if you haven't already learned it before, to be able to use it elsewhere. So we'd love to see your creativity, of course, on our social media. Please use our hashtag of HandmadeWithJoanne, and we would just love to see how you're making out. We'd love to see your colors and a lot more. Of course, if you need advice, the community is there in order for you to have some advice given to you as well. So until next time, it's Mikey on behalf of my friends over at Joanne.com, as well as myself here at the Crochet Crowd. We'll see ya, and have a good day.